Have you ever wondered why performers in adult films appear so exceptionally well endowed? Is there a secret behind those images? Or perhaps a more practical question comes to mind. Why does your urine stream sometimes split into two or even three directions instead of flowing straight? And maybe the question that troubles men the most is this one. Why is it that at times, with just a moment of overthinking or a little anxiety, your erection suddenly collapses, even though the desire is still there? If any of these questions have ever crossed your mind, you are not alone. Welcome back to my channel. I am Dr. Julia Hart with more than 10 years of experience in urology and men's health. My work is dedicated to helping men regain confidence, vitality, and peace of mind in their daily lives. Today, we will lift the curtain on these private concerns, not through rumors or assumptions, but through the lens of modern science and clinical medicine. Before we begin, if you find this topic valuable, take a moment to tap the like and subscribe buttons. Doing so helps the YouTube algorithm spread accurate medical information to more men who are also searching for reliable answers. And feel free to share in the comments where you are watching from. It is always a pleasure to see our community grow stronger and connect gentlemen from all around the world. Let us move into the first issue, which is also the one that creates the most anxiety. This is the situation where the mind commands one thing, but the body fails to respond, simply because of excessive worry. Many men assume that once they lose an erection, it means their body has suffered some kind of permanent damage. But that is not the reality. A very large percentage of men, especially younger and middle-aged men, experience difficulty with erections not because of a physical condition, but because of psychological factors. In medicine, this is known as psychogenic erectile dysfunction. Imagine this sequence. The first time the erection does not appear, you are surprised. The second time, you begin to fear that it will happen again. By the third time, the worry is so strong that your body automatically switches into fight or flight mode. This is the crucial point. When the body enters a survival state, it prioritizes blood flow to the brain and the muscles so you can handle perceived danger, not to the reproductive organs. Biologically, the nervous system is quietly signaling to the penis that this is not a safe moment for sexual activity. As a result, the erection disappears. This is not weakness. This is not a permanent defect. This is simply the brain overpowering the body. We now understand that the mind holds enormous influence over the physiological response. But what if the problem does not come from performance itself, but from perception? More specifically, from comparison. And that brings us to the second major misunderstanding that many men unknowingly burden themselves with. To be completely honest, nearly every man at some point in his life has compared his own anatomy to what he sees on a screen. But here is the uncomfortable truth you absolutely need to understand. Adult films are not biology. They are business. The global average erect penile length is approximately 13.12 centimeters, which is about 5.16 inches. 95% of all men fall between 10 centimeters and 16 centimeters. So why do actors in these films appear so unusually large? There are three primary reasons. The first is selection bias. Production companies simply choose men whose size is significantly above the population average. It is part of the job requirement. The second is cinematographic manipulation. Low camera angles, strategic lighting, and post-production editing can greatly exaggerate perceived size. What you are seeing is your visual system being purposefully misled by film techniques. And the third, which is the most important, is medical enhancement. Some performers use external devices, such as vacuum pumps, traction devices, or even temporary dermal fillers to increase girth. Medications like sildenafil or tadalafil, the active ingredients in Viagra and Cialis, are sometimes taken before filming to ensure maximum rigidity and stamina. In rare cases, individuals may even have implanted penile prostheses, not to increase size, but to produce an erection on command. From a biological standpoint, your size has very little to do with your ability to satisfy a partner. What truly matters is healthy blood flow, confidence, and above all, emotional attunement and attentiveness to the person you are with. Constantly comparing yourself to unrealistic standards on a screen is no different from comparing your morning jog to the performance of an Olympic sprinter. You are not competing on the same playing field. We have talked about external comparisons and psychological pressure. Now let us shift to something very practical, something that can frustrate and confuse men right in the privacy of their own bathroom. This is the third misconception, the one most men completely ignore. It is the tendency to dismiss a split urinary stream. Have you ever stood at the toilet and suddenly the urine stream did not go straight, but divided into two directions, splashing on the wall, the floor, or even onto your own pant leg? It is certainly an awkward moment. But behind that awkwardness are important health messages you need to pay attention to. Think of the urethra as if it were a water hose. The simplest and most common cause is that a small amount of mucus or dried seminal fluid remains at the urethral opening and temporarily obstructs one side of it. After ejaculation, a small amount of fluid can remain, leading to a split stream during the next 1 or 2 urinations. This is completely normal. However, there are more concerning causes you must be aware of. One is benign prostatic hyperplasia. As men age, the prostate tends to enlarge. Because it surrounds the urethra, enlargement compresses the urinary channel. Just as if you were lightly squeezing a hose, the flow changes, weakens, and may split. Another is urethral stricture, a condition in which scar tissue forms inside the urethra, narrowing the urinary passage. Emotionally, many men never speak about this because they assume it is simply part of aging. But clinically, if you notice a split stream along with any of the following: weak stream, straining to urinate, dribbling after urination, or waking during the night to urinate several times, then these are clear warning signs. A simple tip you can try is to sit down when urinating, especially in the morning. In many European countries, this is a common practice that helps the bladder empty more completely and makes urination more comfortable. So how do we turn all of this information into actionable steps? How do we regain control? Here is the step-by-step plan I want to share with you for psychogenic erectile dysfunction. Step 1 is to undergo a general health evaluation to rule out physical causes. Erectile difficulties in middle age can sometimes be early signs of cardiovascular disease. Do not overlook this. Step 2 is to reduce performance pressure. Shift your focus to intimacy and affectionate touch instead of feeling obligated to achieve penetration every time. When your confidence rebuilds, function returns naturally. Step 3 is to consider using a low dose of tadalafil temporarily, under medical supervision. It does not create desire, but it can act as a safety net, helping maintain an erection while you retrain your mind. For concerns about size, stop comparing yourself. That is the most critical step. Focus on what you can control: your overall health, your physical fitness, and endurance. What supports your cardiovascular system also supports your erectile function. Traction devices may lead to small, modest improvements with consistency, but surgical procedures carry risks and are not recommended for most men. For urinary and prostate-related issues, stay well hydrated and ensure you empty your bladder completely. Monitor your symptoms, the frequency of urination, urgency, and the strength of your stream. And most importantly, see a urologist if symptoms persist. They may signal benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is highly treatable. Gentlemen, I want to pause for a moment and say this to you. If you have ever struggled with erections, ever worried about your size, or felt embarrassed by changes in your urinary stream, you have not failed. You are not inadequate. All of these issues are extremely common. They are not signs of weakness, but signals that your body is asking for care, attention, and understanding. Age is not the end of vitality. Small, consistent changes, general health checkups, improving circulation, breaking the cycle of anxiety, and supporting prostate health. These steps can restore comfort, freedom, and confidence. Your body is adaptable. Your mind is capable of recovery. And a man's strength is not measured in centimeters, in performance counts, or in the straightness of a urine stream. It is measured in the willingness to care for yourself and to connect genuinely with others. This is the deeper philosophical lesson. Modern society still places heavy expectations on men to prove themselves through strength, size, or sexual ability. But true masculinity does not come from those surface measurements. It lies in the courage to face intimate challenges, in the wisdom to care for your physical and mental health, and in the maturity to define your worth by sincerity and connection. Caring for yourself is the highest form of strength. So here is my challenge for you this week. Share in the comments one positive habit you will begin today to care for your body and your mind.